There's recalls for the leaders here.
Yes.
Governor,
need to go.
It's our elected officials. They have all abdicated the responsibility and failed us.
The mask mandates, the businesses being shut down, I think we just stacked a whole bunch of things on top of each other.
I hope there should be change. Because the thing is, everybody's getting told it'll be better with this next guy, it'll be better with this one.
I think that voters are just sick and tired of what's happened to California. This is not the California dream that people once thought about.
California residents weighing in on the recall election, saying they are sick and tired of seeing the state of California in decline, putting the blame on Governor Gavin Newsom.
Radio talk show host Larry Elder has entered the California gubernatorial race. He joins us now to react. Welcome, Larry.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. So I lived in California. I lived in San Francisco, LA. I went to graduate school in La Jolla, California. It is the most beautiful place. And I think that's what's so sad about it, Larry, that this beautiful place is getting ruined by these policies.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's why 2.2 million Californians signed a petition. At least a quarter of them were independents and Democrats who just voted for this man 2 years earlier. That's why it's so silly for Gavin Newsom to characterize this as a Trump-led deal. That's insulting the 2.2 million people who signed this petition. And the reason for it is the arrogance of the way this man shut down this state in a more severe way than any of the other 49 governors. He violated the science. He sat at that French Laundry restaurant with the very people that drafted the mandates while they were violating the mandates by not wearing masks, by not socially distancing, had his own kids enjoying in-person private education while denying that right for California school students.
Yeah.
And these students are already behind. 75% of black boys cannot read at state levels of proficiency, and those levels aren't particularly high. Nearly half of all third graders cannot. That's why 2/3 of black parents don't want to send their kids back to the Los Angeles school district, citing, among other things, that they end up with the worst teachers. There are 300,000 public school teachers in California. It is estimated that at least 5% of them are bad teachers. Any given year, 2.2 out of that 300,000 are fired. Imagine if we did that with the LAPD. There are 10,000 cops. Imagine if 5% of them were bad cops. Planning evidence, engaging in racial profiling, using excessive force. We wouldn't put up with it. We put up with it for teachers. And then there's the crime, there's the homelessness, and there's the outrageous cost of living that's causing, for the first time, middle-class Californians to leave this state in search of that first house. It's outrageous, and that's why this guy has got to go.
Well said, Larry. It's great to have you in the race, energizing a lot of people. One guy who doesn't like having you in the race is Gavin Newsom. He was recently quoted talking about the consequences of this. Here's what he said. He said, if this was a successful recall, I think it would have profound consequences nationwide and go not just to politics, but to policy and policy making. Larry, is he right? Would this have profound national consequences as well?
This is one thing he's right about. I hope he's right about it. That's why I'm asking people, Pete, to go to electelder.com, electelder.com. You see, I have huge disadvantages. He can raise and spend an unlimited amount of money. The teachers union just put $1.8 million into the anti-recall side. One of the major unions just put $5 million into it. I have expenditure limits of $9.7 million. You can go beyond that by going to Larry Elder Recall Newsom Ballot Committee. But the top individual contribution is $32,400, and I'm limited. He's not limited, and it is estimated that he's going to spend at least $50 million to defeat me, and I still think he's going to go down.
So, Larry, what is the game plan? Because I just came back from California. I asked folks about changing this. They're obviously upset with the leaders there, but when I asked them about choosing Republicans, they weren't too thrilled. So what is the message?
Well, Lawrence, my dad came here in 1945. He worked 2 full-time jobs as a janitor. He was able to save his nickels and dime and buy a home still in our family in South Central Los Angeles that's worth $600,000. Somebody could not duplicate my 8th grade dad's dropout path from poverty to the middle class if he or she worked 3 jobs. That's because of the outrageous cost of living driven by these environmental extremists that have a stranglehold over Sacramento. If I'm fortunate enough to become governor, I'm going to use my state powers to suspend a law called CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act, that was suspended, for example, for a billionaire to build the Sacramento King Stadium up in Sacramento, but they don't want to do that for builders and contractors so they can supply middle-class homes. That's one of the many, many things I'm going to do when I get up there. I'm not going up there to make friends. I'm going up there to take names and to change California for the better. I've been living here all my life. I'm on in every major market. When I was on radio up and down California, they know me. I've been writing about these issues of crime, of homelessness, and of the unfair mandate lockout for years. And I think voters know me, and once they get to know me better, they're going to pull that lever for me. You can't call me a white supremacist, which is one of the talking points that the Gavin Newsom camp used to say. Do I look like a white supremacist? I may be a lot of things, Lawrence, but do I look like a white supremacist?
I mean, it's kind of impossible. So,
I got to tell you, all I want for Christmas is to see Larry Elder as the governor of California.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Thanks for joining us, Larry. Great stuff.
great to have a candidate that answers
it.
questions, too.
Yeah, he answers questions.
Electelder.com, electelder.com. Thanks, guys.
And he's on message.
Yeah.